welcome everybody to the Money Business Podcast. I am Brian Weyman,
I'm Neal Regino.
and today we are going to discuss how to know if you have outgrown your professional, your advisor, your CPA,
Yeah,
maybe
any
your attorney,
attorneys.
whatever professionals you're working with, to look at your life. We're going to talk a little bit about things we've seen and when people notice that they've outgrown their professional.
Yeah. I guess a good place to start is, well, for us, the advisor is obviously one
Easy.
where we come across it all the time,
All the
right?
time.
And I think some of the signs are when they're, we talk about the growth. If an advisor still has you in the same plan you were in 10 years ago, and you've had a significant amount of growth, or you have a lot more assets now, or maybe your business has grown exponentially, and they're not talking about other things that maybe you're asking questions and they're not engaging. And I see that all of the time is, and I had a very large client prospective client who came over to me and said, yeah, I asked my advisors about this specific investment. They told me it wasn't right for me. I invested it on my own and I made more money than the portfolio that they were managing for me. And
Oh,
yeah, that was a tough one for them, but for him, he's like, well, why wouldn't they even have this conversation with me? So I think that's an easy sign when they're no longer being interactive. Um, are there any signs that you see that come up often?
yeah, I think it comes down to people just having more needs, and we might have touched on this before, but sometimes, our industry, I always say, is painted with a broad brush, right? We're not all the same. We all do different things. We all have different specialties. We have people in the industry that specialize in 401k plans and people that don't touch those types of things. We have advisors that specialize on the insurance side of the business, and everybody does something a little bit different. Some advisors are strictly investment portfolio, and that's what they focus on. What I see is, you might be working with an advisor who is a pretty decent portfolio manager, right? And that's great for when you're opening up your IRA or rolling over a 401 or something like that. But there comes those points in life where you need to know how to expand on things where, you know, I, you might be in a situation where you're putting a kid through college,
Yep.
and then you have another kid through college, or you're getting close to retirement. You need to know what your income is. You might need a tax strategy. You might need to know how to keep yourself, under a certain income threshold, maybe with the big beautiful bill that's can't come out to save to get different credits and things like that. So there's a lot of advisors out there that don't touch that stuff. They specifically stay in their own lane, which is fine. But the second they're not talking to you about your money and where your money is going and what the plan is and how to develop your income or how to pay for certain things, then you're probably outgrown them at that point.
Yeah. Well, I think since we specifically have been talking about business owners, we see there's a lot of places that you can tell when you've outgrown. If you started out a company and you were the only employee and you're the owner and they open up a SEP IRA and, later you started adding employees, maybe you did a simple IRA and now you're at a 401k level. All right. Is that where they stopped? Maybe you have 200 employees now and you've got a 401k,
Right.
you haven't explored profit sharing, you haven't explored any other options. One big thing that comes up with me when I get in front of these mid-sized businesses is they say, how do I make sure that all of my employees are taken care of and that they all have the ability to be millionaires when they retire? And that, first of all, you want to work for that person.
Yeah, for
Number
sure.
one, that's a good owner. But number two, there's a ton of different ways to benefit the employer and the employees outside of just your normal 401k, your profit sharing. Are there executive bonus plans that are available, deferred comp plans that are available, phantom stock options that are available? Does it make sense to turn the company into an ESOP? There's places to go that an average advisor may not be able to take you through, and you might need a different level of professional to get there. On the insurance side, maybe it's something that you started out with a term policy just to make sure you had the right buy sell and kept it the cheapest. Well, now maybe you've got millions of dollars in net profits and you can afford something bigger that also can help with a lot of other things in your situation. Um, are there other things that you can get tax deductions for that they're not talking about? And obviously, you want to make sure they're working with your tax professional to do that. But there are some things that we have exposure to that we would ultimately have a conversation with the advisor or with the CPA and with the business owner at the same time to make sure it makes sense. Um, the advisor side, there's a million things that we experience, and we know that really well. So I think the other side is the accounting side. So I come across this probably every year. There's a handful of clients that say, "Hey, do you have a CPA that you can refer me to?"
Right.
And I think I don't know. Do you have any main reasons that a client's coming to you and asking for that?
For their CPA, yeah, because a lot of times it's, they're seeing their CPA at the end of the year and that's it, and that's it. And I'm looking at them going, well, it's, if you're worried about this at the end of the year, there were, you know, you had
Yeah.
all year to prepare for
Yeah.
things like this. You should be a good CPA, more times than not. Totally, if it's a business owner, it has to be this way. If you're a business owner and you're only talking to your accountant once a year, I think you're making a huge mistake because every quarter you could be making adjustments and doing things and working with that person to kind of figure out how to.
It's not the business owner making the mistake. That's the CPA making the
No,
mistake
yeah,
for
yeah,
sure. Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You need a strategy in place so you're prepared for it. So it's not a mad rush at the end of the
Yeah.
year to fix things and start jamming things into IRAs or SEP IRAs or things like that to kind of, you know, that
Yeah.
last minute panic.
When I've talked to CPAs that do very well, ones that I refer my larger clients to, and even some of the larger firms, they do have that ongoing relationship. It's more of a almost like a subscription service. Instead of paying that,
Yeah,
maybe it's $10,000, $20,000 right before you get your taxes done. Maybe you're paying $1,000 a month,
right.
and they are proactively asking you what you're doing,
I'm a big
offering
fan of that.
ideas, and making sure that they're working with you throughout the year so that you don't have to wait until December 1 to
Right.
start making the changes, and then you're rushing before April or September if you filed an extension
Yeah, it's already in
and
place.
trying to scramble. And ultimately, the hard thing with me is when a client comes up to me on after January 1 and says, "Hey, my accountant says I have this huge bill. What can we do?" And I'm like, "Well, some of these things we had to have in place December
Right.
31st. There's nothing we can do now." And so you want to make sure that you're with an accountant that not only is, first of all, making sure that they're up to date on everything that's happening regulation wise, tax code wise, which not every CPA is doing that, especially I I don't want to knock any single sole proprietor shops because maybe they are doing them well, but it's a lot harder when you don't have a larger team that's dealing with legal side, forensic account, whatever it is. Um, but yeah, so staying up to date and actually managing the relationship. And, I have clients all the time that will say, "I don't know what I pay them for." And they'll say it doesn't matter how much it's the fees are going up, but I'm paying more taxes every year and they're not offering me anything.
Yeah, you
So
may be outgrowing that person.
yeah, yeah. So that's a big one. I mean, I personally like if they have a CPA that is willing to work with me as an advisor.
Yeah,
So if your
makes it easy.
CPA, if you, especially the more complicated your situation, if your CPA is not willing to work with your advisor or vice versa, it's probably time to find a different team of professionals.
Yeah,
Um,
because there's a lot of good ones out there.
yeah.
Tons of them.
Um, then legal side, I mean, this one's more. It depends. I don't want to get into advice on this, but if you have a lawyer that's recommending something that another lawyer thinks very strongly against, first of all, I'll say it's worth having a number of opinions on every situation. But there's so many times that I've seen clients that they're worth a good amount of money, but they're being told they should have an irrevocable trust and pay all the fees for it. And I don't tell them it's the wrong thing, but I tell them they should have a second opinion on it. And you can tell it's the attorney wants to get the fee to set it up. and it's not necessarily the right thing for the client. Now, I won't tell them whether it's right or wrong. I'll find out their whole situation, and then I'll bring in another professional and have them talk to a few different attorneys in order to make sure that they're getting the right advice and that the pricing's right.
My opinion is if your estate plan costs $150, you've outgrown your attorney.
Yeah, that's true too.
That's all. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think the main thing is ask questions. Don't just trust somebody because you've been working with them for a long time, especially if your growth has gone from one level to another, especially if you're a business owner and you're looking to get to the next level, then you want to make sure that you're working with professionals that grow with you. And if they're not growing with you, then it's okay to go out and interview other companies and other professionals to see what else is out there.
Yeah, I'll give you a personal example, and it's a tiny thing, but it was a thing. It was earlier this year. I had taken on a new client that was supposed to take an RMD last year. She didn't have an advisor. All her money's in self-managed plan. And somehow her taxes got done, and she never took the RMD. And when I pointed out to her that she was going to pay that penalty, it was,
Yeah.
kind of a shock.
Well, it depends when you find out about it.
Yeah.
Because there's still ways to fix it on the back end.
It was an inherited IRA, by the way, not her
Yeah.
own personal money.
Yeah, I've dealt with those too. But yeah, for sure, making sure that you have somebody who's on top of that stuff. So
Yep. She inherited money, so my point is she inherited this money, and I don't know who was doing her taxes, but she inherited this money, and it was quite a significant change from where she was. Maybe that means she outgrew that person at this point. I guess is the point I was trying to get across.
Yeah, for sure. Well, at any rate, I mean, we just want people to realize, hey, just because you've been working with somebody, just because they've been loyal to you or you've been loyal to them, first of all, saying that somebody's been really good to them, I'm like, yeah, but are you paying them a fee?
Yeah.
And when they're like, yes, I'm like, well, of course they're going to be great to you because you're paying them something, but it doesn't mean they're necessarily 100% know what they're doing. So,
Unless it's me.
yeah, unless it's Brian Weyman.
Yeah, that's me.
But at any rate, yeah, I think looking at a second opinion, having that review with another person, and just making sure that if your situation has changed, that you're getting everything you're supposed to. Well, appreciate everybody joining us today, and we will see you on the next one, right?
Hope it helps. Thanks for coming.